How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Geek, for those of you who don't know, and this is Comic Talk, a show I haven't done in quite a while. So let's roll the music and get into it. So today, I want to talk about Superman Comics number 10. It's part 4 of the Unity Saga. Now I know it hasn't been very popular on account of Bendis being attached to it, and a lot of people think that whatever Bendis does is poison to any comic he ever touches. And to some regards, I can kind of understand exactly where people are coming from on account of the fact that Bendis aged John. Why? Why age John? That's not necessary. It was nice to have him as a little kid, and instead, he's now at the arse end of his teenage years. That means he's 17 years old. That's only 2 years away from being a grown-up in Canada. Jeez, there goes his childhood years. You know, they tell you, don't take your childhood for granted, but really, don't take your childhood for granted, because one day you might wake up and you're 17 years old. Anyway, like I said, Superman issue 10 picks up with part 4 of the Unity Saga. Basically, John is still explaining to his parents, Clark and Lois, exactly what happened while he was gone for 22 days their time, and like 7 years his time. Just to catch you up, last issue in the Unity Saga, Superman issue number 9, John Kent was stuck in an alternate dimension on Ultraman and Superwoman's Earth, where it's always dark all the time and he had very little powers. He was held there for a long time, like years in that dimension, and while he was there, Ultraman would show up and come and visit him and then talk about stuff and then cry because he had no hope, because I mean, he's the opposite of our Supes, who is full of hope, never gives up hope. Ultraman has absolutely no hope, so he would just show up and tell stories and blubber to young John, and John would have to put up with it, and he'd be looking at him like, that's my dad, at least he looks like my dad, only that's not my dad. Anyway, John eventually devises a plan, escapes, and ends up going to the evil Justice League headquarters of that particular Earth, and figures he's gonna find some way to escape or contact his dad, but instead ends up meeting up with Superwoman, which is basically his mom in that dimension. And she's all like, I'm gonna knock your block off, and he's like, oh no, it's my mom and I'm not gonna hit her back. Which brings us to issue 10, where Gramps Jor-El finally gets a hold of him and pulls him back into the safety of Grandpa Jor-El's care. Well, I guess safety is kind of a loose term. I mean, he really wasn't safe with Gramps in the first place. I mean, he wouldn't have ended up in this predicament if he was safe with Gramps. Anywho, that's where Gramps gives him this little package that has his new suit contained therein, and he puts it on and he's like, whoo, I got a new suit, and wow, I was gone for a long time. And that's where he finds out that it was only 22 days for Grandpa Jor-El, and he spent that whole time freaking out looking for him, and now Gramps looks notably older. The thing is, they fell through some kind of weird hole in space and time, and Gramps was like, I can't find you. It's very difficult to find you like this. Of course, he's gonna be really upset with himself and really freaked out because he just lost Superman's kid, his own kid's kid. Yeah, good work, Gramps. Is it just me, or was taking your part Kryptonian, part human grandson out into space for some kind of galactic field trip a bad idea? I think it was a bad idea. As a side note, we really know that this whole thing is happening because Bendis wanted to age John, probably because he didn't really know what to do with him as a kid and felt like aging him for some bonehead reason. I'm still hoping and kind of betting on the idea that he's not going to stay this way, but, you know, you never know. Anyhow, because John is hanging out with Gramps, you know things can't stay fun, sunshine, and roses for long, because not long after he gets the suit, blam, there's a hole in the side of the ship, and who's on the outside looking in, trying to get inside? Oh, none other than Zod, General Zod, and that other Kryptonian dork with the glasses. Yep, they're all there, and they wants to kill Gramps for who knows what. Well, of course, because he's Kryptonian, but then again, I mean, why isn't Zod? Obviously, he's formed some kind of alliance with the other Kryptonians for now. Of course, he's going to try and kill him later, but remember, the last time that we saw Zod in the hands of Zod pounded the living crap out of General Zod. Anyhow, in the favor of keeping a short story short, somehow Gramps ends up beaming, teleporting, transmuting John back to Earth because, you know, there's this like magical Kryptonian wand and he shoots him with it and then sparkles all around John, and then he ends up back on Earth with his mom and dad, and that's how he got there. Actually, he falls in a fountain in the middle of what looks like a shopping mall, but the point is he ends up back on Earth safe, leaving Gramps behind with Zod. That's not okay. Which brings us to the present, where in the past 4 issues, John has been back on Earth explaining to Clark and Lois what exactly happened to him while he was out in space. So Clark and John decide they're gonna go off into space, shoot themselves off, and go and help Gramps. Go and save his butt from Rogol Zar and General Zod and whatnot. Of course, when they get there, everything is all kind of a mess, and we don't really know what's gonna happen next because the next issue hasn't came out yet. So I won't know till Superman 11. None of us will. Except for, of course, the writers, and the artists, and the inkers, and pretty much everyone else behind the scenes at DC Comics who works on this comic. But we won't know because we're just the lowly comic buyers. I do really hope that this story ends on a good note and that there's some kind of really cool payoff for them aging John. Otherwise, DC for aging one of my favorite characters a little bit too soon. That was a really stupid move. I liked him really young. The dynamic of having Mom and Pop and young John, I mean, age him 2 years, I don't care. Age him to 14. 14 I would have been okay with, but 17? Really? 17? Bendis, you suck. Anyhow, that's my episode today of Comic Talk about Superman, issue number 10, the Unity Saga, part 4. Hopefully you enjoyed it, found it useful, fun, or a reasonable waste of time even. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and the like button if you're not yet subscribed and you haven't yet hit like. Any comments you have, put them down in the comments section below because I'd like to hear from you, and I will see you with the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends, and please take care. Have a DC day.